Webhooks are a really common way to synchronize data between an external and internal system, and increasingly becoming more common to kick off agentic workflows. Let's say, for example, we have a GitHub service that listens for pull requests. Well, GitHub can make a post request to your API, and most people like to take the workload off of the API and onto a background worker in order to make sure that that API remains always available. But you still have to maintain that API service within your infrastructure. Well, today we're super excited to announce that Hatchet has native Webhook ingestion support so that you can trigger webhook requests directly through Hatchet without needing to maintain that ingestion plane yourself. Let's take a simple example service. Here we've got something that's listening to GitHub star. So if I click the star on this repository, I'll get this Slack notification immediately that someone starred my repo. The code for this is extremely simple. There's a single Hatchet task that's listening to a specific event and then basically just writes that message as a post request to Slack. Let's go ahead and start this worker and see how we configure this within the Hatchet dashboard. In Hatchet, we navigate to the Webhooks tab and click Create Webhook. Here we can give our webhook a name. Let's call it GitHub Stars. Select GitHub as the source, and we'll come back to this in just 1 second. Now in GitHub, we can go to Settings, Webhooks, add a webhook. Let's copy the URL that was generated into the payload URL, change this to application JSON as it suggests here, and let's just keyboard mash a secret. In production, we want to do something a little bit more secure. And then let's select the events that we're interested in. Now for this simple dummy example, we just want to know when people star the repo. Go ahead and click Add Webhook on GitHub. But there's one last thing we need to configure on Hatchet, and that's getting that event key configuration. So here I already know how I want this formatted. I just want everything namespaced with GitHub. Then I want to include the resource, so this would be the star, for example, which is stored in this header. And then finally, I want to have that input action. If I go ahead and click Create Webhook, now Hatchet is listening for events. I can go to the Events tab in Hatchet, go to the repository, and now I can toggle the stars, and I should start seeing events coming into Hatchet. There they are. Each of these events then invokes a run, and of course, as with everything in Hatchet, I have full visibility into the payloads and the status of all runs.